Yeah, hey, real estate rock stars. This is Aaron Muchsegi. I'm back. I hope you guys are ready for an awesome conversation I'm about to have with Remington Rand. Remington and I just got to have got to talk for a few minutes before we got started, and here we go. Remington, I didn't make sure that I was pronouncing your name right. How'd I do?
Nailed it. Nailed it. I'm just glad that I don't have to pronounce your name, honestly, because,
Yeah, exactly. You've got one of the easier ones. Maybe that's
yeah.
the some that has bitten me before though. If I get started
Oh,
and I start looking at the name, I'm like, oh, I should have made sure. Remington, where do you live?
I live in Richmond, Virginia. Yep,
Cool. How long
Richmond,
you been there?
Virginia. Been there pushing 20 years, from Southwest Virginia, but have lived there basically all of my adult life after college. Currently in Florida. The weather in Richmond is horrific, so spending some time down here for the winter.
Yeah, we're recording this early February, and the only place in the country that was nice last week was Florida.
Yeah, and
Every
it was still like 50s and 60s, which was abnormal.
I heard that actually, like, there's a part in the west coast of Florida that actually got some snow last week. I
Yeah.
don't know if which is wild, but yeah, so cold time. So being in Florida
Where are
instead of
you?
Virginia, I'm in Austin, Texas.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah.
So where we get 11 and a half months of heat and awesome weather per year, and then we have 2 weeks of crippling cold and ice. So when it happens here, the whole world shuts down and nobody does anything. It's like,
Yeah.
no, didn't you hear? It was like the roads are frozen. We don't go anywhere. Um, they
Funny.
don't even have snow plows here or like
Yeah.
at the airport. So it only snows every few years. But when it does, the whole world gets shut down. You just have to wait for it to melt because there's
Yep.
just
Can't do anything.
they close the airport, everything. How long you been in real estate?
I've been in real estate since 2011. Um, I started as someone's assistant and was a terrible assistant and got my license. And then the moment I could get my broker's license, I studied for that and sat for the broker's license, got it, and departed. Was working with Remax at the time, departed them and branched off on my own.
Cool. What made you
Yeah.
want to get into real estate?
I just loved the flexibility. I loved the ability to be out and about, day to day, never is the same. But genuinely, I like the idea of being able to go different places, do some exploration, walk around, drive around, step into different houses. I mean, we all like looking at different houses. I've found later in my career seeing some of the crazier, more abandoned warehouses and stuff is more fun than the nice houses. You get a little jaded with the nice stuff after a while, but it's just fun. The exploration is really tremendous for me.
Yeah. So so at the time, so way back
Mhm.
when you became someone's assistant, did you like see a job hiring assistant, or were you like, hey, I want to go get a job in real estate?
I met a guy at Starbucks. I mean, it's like his tale as old as time. I was having a conversational coffee with a guy who I knew who was a real estate developer, and in walked a real estate agent who had just got off the phone with his old assistant slash partner, who was a real estate agent for him, who was retiring because she just was aged out, and so he got off the phone, walked inside, and hired me immediate. Well, technically hired me the next day, and so it was all just kismet. I mean, just circumstance.
Yeah. So you were an assistant for a little while. How long were you an
Yeah.
assistant before you got licensed?
Um, 8 months maybe. Yeah,
Cool.
not long at all. Yeah,
How long till you got your first deal after that?
that's a good question. I think I got a couple like deals while I was still an assistant, or like helped with the pipeline of them. But not long after that, I helped a buddy who I used to work with buy his first house. At that point, I didn't even own my first house, so
Yeah.
treading in deep water, but uh, fake it till you make it.
Cool. So your first deal you can remember as an agent was your buddy had you help him buy a house.
Yep,
The
absolutely.
how did he decide to hire you?
He was originally from Michigan, and so we had worked together. He was a young guy. I was 23, he was 23. And so, his sphere of influence was pretty small, and, I was in it, and I was a real estate agent. He trusted me. We had worked together. I did have the bona fide credentials of the guy I worked with, obviously. So it wasn't
Yeah.
just me flying solo. So, that helped a lot, I think, with the early deals. admitting to people, hey, I'm working with so and so. If we get into any rough water, we have someone we can ask what's going on.
Yeah. Cool. So how did he know you were an agent?
Aaron, I guess I'd reached out to him. We'd remained friends, and so I think he had
Yeah.
kept up with my career and how things were changing. Uh, and but I don't necessarily think I like advertised to him any particular way. But at that point, I
Yeah.
didn't know many people in the market. So one of the pros and cons of becoming an agent at 23 is that not many 23-year-olds are buying houses, right? So all of
Mhm.
a sudden, you're having to bat up into a much older clientele who it can be a little difficult breaking into that because they probably have friends or family members, someone who either are an agent or have used an agent. And so it was a little bit more difficult, but obviously I've always told people that my biggest benefit in real estate is just time. I'm 38 now and have been doing it since I was 23. So if I'd like to think that if I had picked a multitude of careers, I'd probably be pretty good at it after so long.
Yeah. It's, that's some those are just like some good points or even just some good advice you just gave, right? So at the beginning, a lot of times when people, the reason I like to talk about people's first deals, and we'll get into your first couple years before we get into like what you've done since, because I know it's a lot different. But so many of our listeners are in their first few years, right? And they're
Yeah,
trying to get their first few deals, or they're trying to go from 10 to 20 or something else. And it's important that people around you know you're an agent. And there's
sure.
this fine line of how do you do that to where you don't feel salesy or not, and how do you get them to trust so that way they know you're an agent, so when it's time that they need to hire somebody they say like, hey, I'm thinking about buying a house, Remington, like, can you help me? And you're like,
Hmm.
yeah, that's what I do as an agent, however that conversation goes about. And then I think for either new agents, regardless of age, right, regardless of age, for new agents that haven't been agents for long, the or for like people that are younger. And I think if you're younger and a new agent, you get both. You get people saying,
Hmm.
"Hey, you're inexperienced. Why should I hire you?" So it could be, "Hey, you're 23. Why should I hire you?" Or it could be, "Hey, you're 40 years old, but you're a brand new agent. Why should I hire you?" You talked about being able to rely on the people that you were working with and said, "Hey,
Yeah,
I'm new at this, but I'm part of a team, or I have a mentor, or I have a great broker that's teaching me everything. So don't worry. Like, even though I'm new, I'll be able to rely on them for help."
sure.
And then, something that I've heard some other agents say, and maybe I'm just kind of just piggybacking on your advice as we're kind of doing some advice to new agents right now, is I've heard a lot of people say too, like the fact that I'm new is a strength.
Hmm.
And what does that really mean? Like right now, it could be, hey, the fact that I'm new is a strength because you've got a lot of agents that like they used to not have to work as hard. They're struggling in this new market. Well, this is all I know. And so I'm used to it. And also because I'm a new agent, like I've got time for you. I don't have
Sure.
30 buyers that I'm working with. I have two. And so you are one of my two favorite people in the world right now. So I'm going to be able to give you dedicated service, but I can also get advice from the people that have the experience. So like a new agent can be the best of both worlds.
Yeah,
So
that's a great point.
what were your next couple of years like?
Well, to follow up on what you were saying is one of the things that I found at a young age was it didn't matter my connections or age, but I found that information was the universal key to getting people's business. And if I could come to someone with information that no one else had, I was their guy. And I found that to be absolutely critical in building my business to be a value add business that people know that they can come to me for straight shooting, honest feedback, but also that if I have some real estate information, something that I'm going to come to them and say, hey, listen, I got something that I think is of great interest to you. Here is why. And that's something that I learned very early on that even at 23, 4, 5, moving into my early years, I just used information as my capital to to get clients. And that was just simply paying attention to the market. In Richmond, Virginia's got very weird ABC laws. And so it habitually it was you have to sell food where you serve alcohol, which obviously has all of the requirements of a kitchen and all these things, and you have to sell a certain amount of food depending on how much alcohol. It's very, very uh, archaic and obtuse. Well, they passed a law that if you make the alcohol on site in Virginia, you can sell it without selling food, which obviously people saw and said, wow, bingo, breweries. And there was one part of town in Richmond, Virginia called Scott's Addition. There was all these old warehouses that fell by zoning right into breweries. You could just make a brewery there. And again, it was right at the corner of town, close to everything, walking distance. And all of a sudden, these, kind of derelict warehouses became, to me, extremely valuable. I saw that it was the next little area. And so I just went to people and said, hey, listen, this law is changing. Look at these couple breweries. It's going to happen left and right. And I just used that and bird dogged, these guys who'd owned warehouses for 30, 40 years. And, at one point I was driving around the state to go meet with these old owners who owned HVAC companies and selling these warehouses to people, and sold them for 4, 5, 6, 800 grand, and now they're worth 10x that. And so those are the type of people that all of a sudden we're like, hey, there's this new guy who, like, he's coming to us with like actual information, not just like, yeah, I'm here if you want to buy a house, just call me please, because I didn't find that to be a very durable business model. And so I follow that today. I don't expect you to call me unless I provide a value add in your real estate needs.
That's such a great story. It's such a great story for, well, one, it's like just educate yourself, educate yourself, educate yourself. Try to figure out what's out there. And if you are especially early on in real estate, if you don't have a whole lot of clients, if you don't have a lot of stuff to do, like, real estate should be a full-time job when you're starting.
Yeah.
And I could see people going like, hey, I just did like lead something for like an hour, but now I don't know what to do. Or I did this like new ad idea, but now I don't know what to do. But you really have to force yourself to like do stuff, to like work,
Oh
to
yeah.
like come up with ways.
Work,
And so if
man.
nothing else, like educating yourself and that could be running comps neighborhood after neighborhood. That could be trying to analyze MLS to see what zip codes are doing better than others. So you were being a
Yep.
sponge, and then you were able to like put together something that was fantastic. That's a pretty unique experience,
Yeah.
right?
And I
Being
mean,
able to
it
like
was,
see the info and do it, but like anybody can educate themselves to get it up on somebody.
well, exactly. And I think that's one of the things that, um, I've always believed in is what you said is there's a lot of downtime in real estate. I mean, I'm in Florida right now because it's habitually very slow. But I spent a lot of time looking at what sold and why, and the tax records, and what's going on where, and what is the macro, what's the country doing, what are all of these factors looking at, so that when someone asks me, it's not, well, I don't know. It's I can say, oh, this area is trending in a way that I didn't see, and I don't really know why, but you know these things have sold at this rate, and X, Y, and Z. And having the information there versus telling someone, oh, I can find it out, is critical. We live in a day and age of immediacy. And in my opinion, real estate's the same way. It's if Aaron wants to go see a house, let's go see it right now, right? Like I'm on my phone, I can make an appointment. Let's go see it right now. Not, oh yeah, let's find a time in the next, you know, whenever to go see it, because we need the information now. Um, and so yeah, you're 100% correct. Spending your time educating yourself is the best thing you can do.
Yeah. So your last couple of years, have you been more of a buyer's agent or a seller's agent?
Buyer's agent for sure, but that is just because Richmond has um, been very much a supply demand side on the for buyers. I mean, there's way more people moving into Richmond than there are leaving, and so it's been a little bit of a Mexican standoff in Richmond with houses, because no one wants to sell them, because it's either their interest rate, or they recognize that they could sell their house for a ton of money, but where are they going to move? And so that's again where I would say that information has been critical to know so and so over here have had another child or something. They probably want to move. This person over here, they're moving out of state, uh, but it's quiet. They don't want his job to know yet. So what can we do? Can we put these people together in a way that benefits everybody? And with a very hot market like Richmond, that through COVID especially, that was critical for our business to succeed and not just wait around for a house to blip up on the MLS and go, ooh, interesting. Like, let's go look at it because it's sold, right? There's someone who's going to spend more money on it. And and again, information is still is it's paramount.
Yeah. You're representing a lot of buyers. The something that I kind of thought of just now as you were talking, I hadn't really thought of it like that before, but there's there's kind of this unspoken or like spoken dream. Like most people go, "Hey, I'm a buyer's agent right now, but eventually I want to be a listing agent." And the belief in that as well. Once you're a listing agent, you have a guaranteed commission. Was kind of the belief. But now Austin is a completely different market than Richmond. We've got like 10 months of inventory out there.
Yeah, it's
What's
crazy.
funny is, like, if you're representing a buyer out here, you've got almost 100% chance of success rate right now, and if you have
Yeah.
a listing, you've only got a 10% chance of it actually selling,
Mm,
and it's a
brutal.
really weird time, but if people are listening and you're in a tough market like that, like it's an interesting thing to think about, like, you would be much better off being a buyer's agent in Austin than a listing agent, even
Mm,
though trajectory is supposed like, again, the trajectory people talk about is, "Oh, someday I'm gonna be a listing agent because that's guaranteed." In a lot of markets, it's not guaranteed anymore. And I hadn't really thought about that perspective. But when you were like, no, I'm a buyer's agent because that's when you know you're going to get deals and buy the market and sing in. And I could make the argument the same way in these slower markets that if people are out there trying to get leads and trying to get customers, maybe it's better to get buyers right now. Because if you can get a qualified buyer right now in Austin, you are going to be able to get
mm,
them a house. There is still a gap of values, but that's why a lot of the stuff isn't selling. There's still plenty of houses out there that the people want to sell it for 1 million and the buyers can only pay 7 or 800, or at 1 million they've got options to buy 20 different houses, so they're going to buy one, but they get to buy the one they pick because there aren't enough
sure.
buyers out there. The how are you getting your leads the last couple of years? Because if it's a hot market like that, a lot of people wanted to buy, so how are they choosing Remington?
It's all referrals. I've been very diligent over the past couple years. Once, where I mean, I would say probably over the past like eight, 8 to 10 years of being very diligent about what kind of clients I take on. And clients, I've just never wanted to win the popularity contest. I just do not feel like that is a durable client base. I want people who understand my value in the way that they are going to see performance and results, and consequently have said no to a lot of people. Um, Maybe not a lot. I've said no to people, but I knew it wasn't a good fit, right? Um, and so it's all been referrals. It's been dreamy. I mean, uh, it makes it a little scary because you never know when the phone is going to ring, but it's just been referrals, and it's been very nice because I can now kind of assume or base on who's referring me that client, the type of person that uh the type of person that I'm going to be speaking to. And I mean, very often I've had I've had clients say, "Hey, listen, my friend so and so's moving to Richmond. They're looking to buy a house. They're a bit of a handful. X, Y, and Z thoughts." And I'm like, I think there's someone in my office that would be a really great fit with. Let me pass that off.
Yeah, that hardworking newer agent that only has 1 or 2 clients, they
Sure.
dream for a client like
Because I
that.
mean, we've all had those. I mean, we've all had just absolute nightmare clients. And the beauty of those, just like any hardship or failure, depending on how you look at it, is that you learn. And in that case, you learn to sort of see what does that person look like when they're coming towards you, right? And like, is it worth your time and energy? Because there are times where it's like, sure, why not? Like, I got nothing else to do, or I'm young and hungry. But nowadays, I look at it through a different lens, and it's constantly evolving, right? Um, whatever
Yeah.
that lens is.
Well, is it worth your time is the best thing to ask yourself, because if you are broke and you've got bills to pay and you don't have any other clients, then even if it is an absolute hell to get this person a deal, it's worth your time
Every
usually.
day.
And if you have an established business and you're doing pretty good and you've got this life balance and you're already accomplishing most of your goals, then it's not worth your time. So figuring out what that really means is it worth my time? But I think yes, two different people have very different perspectives based on their lifestyle and their success and their flow. But you can always ask yourself, whether you're the new agent, hey, this person's crazy or not, will it be worth my time? And you go like, hey, it's going to take me 80 hours to get a deal, but I need to get a deal because I got to pay rent. They might say yes knowingly. So
Yeah.
you can always
Yeah.
ask yourself that. And then at some point, the pendulum will swing that I'm going to focus on the good ones, or I'm going to focus on the big ones, or no, I have too many clients. It actually won't serve you anymore if I
Hmm.
do it. So you can do the referrals. So, so you get a lot of referrals. Like
Yep.
I'm guessing that there must be something that you've done after a deal closes to make sure that you keep getting those deals. Now, maybe not. Maybe you just did such a good job, people just always think of you. Do you remind people, "Hey, I helped you with that house a year ago. Send me your referrals." Do you
Nope.
do anything as a follow-up?
I do virtually nothing. And I don't mean that.
Well, that doesn't help me teach anybody, but go on. Let me tell you but
But
that's actually funny. Let's figure out why.
what I would tell people is I do it through the process. I'm constantly re reiterating my value through the process. And when I meet with someone, I give them rundown. Hey, there's no right or way wrong to look. There's no right or wrong way to look at a house. So let's just look at these houses, right? Like, there's a lot of people when they walk in the front door of a house, they're like, all right, what should I be doing? I'm like, hey, just fall in love with the place. You know, I'm the guardrail here to keep you from making monumental errors. So you do you. But I always tell people, I'm like, listen, my goal here is that you, by the end of this transaction, if everything went smoothly, you could do it again yourself, right? Like, I want you to learn and know and be comfortable the entire time you're doing this, so that there's no point where you're you're just, flabbergasted at what's going on, you're upset, all these things. But I tell people, I'm like, I would rather you be mad at me now. I would rather tell you something that's going to upset you or go against the grain today than after you've bought this house. And so you're going to have to just have that degree of trust in me that there might be times where I'm like, guys, don't do this, or do this. You have to trust me, do this. And um, I think that, again, giving people a blueprint of how the process is going to work, and then filling in that blueprint with them, allows them to get from point A to Z and go, holy smokes, that was incredible. Like, I learned a bunch. I am confident. I know exactly what happened at any point in this. So I don't feel like I was hoodwinked, that I got a bad deal, anything like that. Because I'll tell people all the time, like, hey, it's a bad deal, right? Like,
Mhm.
you're overpaying for this. But here's why you should overpay for it, right? And it's a situational thing. This isn't a stock. This isn't pure investment. This is your life. You have to live in this house. It's a huge,
Yeah.
especially if you work from home and have kids and stuff like that. It's a huge amount of time that you spend in this place. So overpay for it. You're worth it, right? And I think that that's been my process. But at the same time, I tell people, I'm probably not going to send you a Christmas card. I'm probably not going to follow up with you. But when you call me, I'm going to answer my phone, right? Like, I've had clients call me, and I'm dead serious. They've called me and they've said, Rem, the corner of my roof just blew off. What do I do? And I said, I'll be there in 10 minutes. And I was on the roof of my buddy Dave's house in Oregon Hill because he didn't have a tall enough ladder, flipping his roof back down, and because it was like a huge wind right before a storm, and it was imperative. I've had same thing. Hey, our crawl space is flooding. How do we turn our water off? I keep a water key for the water main in my SUV, and I drove over to the house. We found the water main. We turned it off. right? And it's like, I'm not going to bother you. I'm not going to hound you. I'm not going to, bake you cookies, but I'm going to show up when there's a disaster. And I think that it's just simply the process in doing that time and time again that people get the idea and understand. Like, hey, if you really need to buy or sell a house, like this is the guy to call.
I think that is I think the advice you just gave is great advice for the people that don't wanna do, like, the follow-up, the drips, the reminders, and
Yeah,
I kind of teach and recommend 2 different things because when we were doing a bunch of deals 15 years ago, it would always get frustrating when we helped someone buy a house and would hire someone else to list it.
yeah,
Right, and I remember a couple of them were like, "Well, we didn't know that you also did listings, or we didn't know that you also did this," and so one of these mindsets I've had is you gotta be telling people you gotta remind people you're an agent, so when it comes to top of mind and somebody says, "Hey, I need an agent," they remember or they wanna recommend you. But I still believe that's a good way to do it, but you've said it for the opposite way. I also know a couple people really well personally that I give them a hard time because they're doing a bunch of deals but they don't do any client follow-up. They don't continue to reach out to people. And some of them still turn into referrals and some may be missed. But I think the thing that you just said, for somebody that doesn't want to do the follow-up salesy drip campaign, I think what Remington said there at the end, like you could do like I could picture that happening at the closing when you give them their keys or the signing or a call to congratulate them once they get their house. It's saying, "Hey, look, that was amazing. I'm so happy for you. Congratulations. Thanks for trusting me on this. Now, I'm not going to send you cookies. I'm not going to send you the Christmas card. I'm not going to bother you with all my email marketing and updates on your property. Like, because I'm not going to do all that stuff because that's not me. But hey, if you call me, anything real estate related, anything emergency, any real estate stuff, if you call me, I'm going to answer. So when you need me, I'll be there. Please make sure when you need anything real estate, I'm the one you reach out to, but I'm not going to bug you with the rest of it." And I think that is probably a really good way to do that because
yeah,
then they almost appreciate the fact that you aren't reaching back out to them because 'cause I also know that sometimes when people get the gift a year later, they appreciate it. I know a gal that on the 1 year anniversary, she sends everybody a custom Zoom like CMA of their property values and just said, like a recording and says, "Hey, I just checked on your house. This is what it's going on,"
that's cool.
which
Yeah,
is also a good method. That's great. But like
sure.
that's her thing, and you're like, "Hey, that's not my thing." But I think you could do it your way with that. I'm glad we dug into that a little bit because that's a
And I
really
don't
unique
think
perspective.
there is plenty of meat on the bone for me to do that. And I do think that that has been uh, uh that's been something I should and could do better. Um but it's just, in a lot of ways I've just been drinking out of a fire hose, and
Yeah,
um it just never really happened. But at the same time, I can pretty empirically look at the data and and show you that these people call me, right? And
yeah,
they and but a lot of it is because of the but I will say, much to what you're saying about your friend who does the Zoom follow-ups, I'm very diligent about, if and when there are notable transactions around someone's house, I will follow up with them and just say, "Hey, I just heard that X, Y, and Z happened down the street." Right? Because again, to me, that is valuable information for that person. It's not really valuable for me to, like, bother them, right?
yeah, yeah. You're not going to send them the Happy Thanksgiving email. Remember, we're doing this. I think it's just two different ways. I think there's a lot of listeners on here that I've said, "Hey, you need to do this and this and this for follow up," and they're like, "Hey, that's not me." I mean, I tell people that some people should door knock, some people should cold call, some
Yeah.
people shouldn't, right? And so I think you gave a really cool perspective of if someone isn't going to be that person, who should they be? The
Yeah, but you have to put the work in somewhere else. I mean, and it's
Yeah,
it's just
if you're the guy
but
that goes and turns the water on and off, if you're the guy that's going to go
yeah,
climb on the roof,
exactly.
like if that's the personality instead, like that's a fair trade off.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, uh I'm not saying that this is right either, but it's like I've been on vacation in multiple time zones over and set an alarm for 1:30 in the morning, woke up and got on calls because my clients were dentists, and they were like, we can only, you know, only talk after work. And it's like, that's, to me, that was totally cool though, because it's like, I am on vacation, I'm in Mallorca on a balcony having a Zoom call. Like, that's it, one could say, oh man, work life balance, it's not there. But to me, it's like, well, I'm like, the work is still less than the life in that balance in my equation. But you still have to put in the work, and you have to you have to perform, right? And you can't be a lackluster performer and expect people to still call you back. And I guess there are plenty of people who do not call me back. And I look at it and I'm like, yeah, that transaction was a nightmare. Like, there was no saving that ship, right? Like,
Right. Like they don't believe in me, or I don't want to work with them anyway. Like, so
yeah, like
yeah,
they
we
lost
had that
trust in
happen.
me. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you just got to write it off, and move on. But,
You can do everything right, and that can happen. Like, you
but
can
I
do
will say, and
everything right.
we work in one of the coolest businesses because I've never really worked in a corporate world. And I've often thought, like, how depressing it must be to work in a cubicle where, like, the type of person you are outside of the cubicle, outside of the boardroom, doesn't translate to inside the boardroom, right? Like, you could be the best person in the world, but, like, if your numbers aren't hitting or whatever at a corporate job, then you're underperforming. And I think that real estate is really neat because you being a good, genuine, forthright person will pay off. Maybe not today, maybe not next year, but it will come when you least expect it, where all of a sudden you get a deal, and it's because of something kind or nice that you did to someone in the past. And I just think that we're so blessed that we're in that job, that you can just be a good person and it helps, right? Like,
Yeah.
you can be a really good person and it doesn't help you be an attorney. Probably the opposite.
Yeah. How many years you been an agent? I think you said
What I say,
15?
2011, it's 2026. So yeah, 15 years.
15 years. How many deals
Yeah.
do you think you've done?
Oh, good question. um,
Like 10 a
500.
year, 10 a year, 20 a year? The,
Oh, no, more than that. Yeah. Like
the
20 to 50 a year.
cool.
So
That's a good growth. That's what you would hope to expect. I think those are like some good goal. What's the average price point out there?
for, m- for me,
Sure.
yeah, for me, it's probably 800s.
So is that
That
higher end for that area?
Yeah, it's on the higher end, but that grew so Richmond itself grew exponentially during COVID. It was already on like a really wicked growth cycle, like Austin, prior to COVID. And then COVID hit and it just got magnifying glass on it. And so really, but my volume dropped because there were so many people trying to buy and sell.
Yeah.
And the number of agents increased, whatever. Uh but yeah, I mean, it the valuations in Richmond doubled
Yeah.
from 2020 to today, easy.
Yeah, they're all over the place. So you've been an agent for 15 years.
Hmm.
You've done 500-ish deals, give or take. Current
Yeah.
average, purchase price around 800,000. What is one thing, like the one thing that you've learned in those 15 years that you wish you would have known when you first became an agent?
I guess it would just be the way, it's just like anything. It's nostalgia, but it comes with age. But just embrace the failure. Embrace failure. It's fine. It's honestly one of the most important things that I found that I go through is failure. Um, I think everyone focuses on success and glorifies success. But I have found that if I, in a way, glorify failure, and failure can be relative, right? With the acknowledgement that being harsh on oneself is not productive. Being harsh on yourself is not productive, and failures are extremely valuable for your life. They're momentous. They are learning experiences. They are fun to look back on often. I mean, how many times have we all told a story of a travel or a date or something we went on that at the time was just horror? It was just abject misery. And now you look back on it with the degree of nostalgia, and it's the funniest story you have because everything went wrong. It all fell apart and you were crippled by it. But now you know how to deal with that. And I think that knowing, acknowledging, and embracing failure as it's just part of it, right? Like as long as
Yeah.
you're hitting 51%, you're good, right?
Yeah.
As long as you're
Embrace.
just, yeah, a
Yeah.
little over.
Embrace the failure because yeah, if you're a little bit better than embrace the failure because those are the moments that change us the most. And that is the way to learn a lesson that you don't forget. Like when
Totally.
we learn a lesson, it's successful. Sometimes it's hard to remember. I was so successful those years because I did this,
Yeah.
right? Like sometimes we do something and it works and it becomes a habit. And then later we kind of forget, we lose that good habit but yes, if you have a failure, you learn that lesson.
Yeah.
I'm
And
going to
it
complete.
promotes risk taking. It promotes trying different things because all of a sudden failure doesn't, it's not really even failure. It's just, something you've tried and didn't work. And it's like, okay, that's fine. Um, but that's very much something. That being said, for a long time, I was very, very hard on myself. I was a perfectionist. I got really bent out of shape. I remember one time being really bent out of shape because like a house got listed and it was expensive. I don't know, a couple $1,000,000 or something like that, like $2 million. And the agent who listed it was like maybe 5 years older than me. Um, and I was like, I should be getting listings like that. And then I thought about it and I was like, I'm not doing anything to
Yeah.
get a listing like that. This guy's a member at the country clubs. He's doing everything to get these listings. It's like me wishing I played basketball. It's like it doesn't make any sense because I'm not playing the same game. Um, and all of a sudden be like, oh, well, that's fine then. Like what game am I playing and what game do I want to play and how do I succeed in that? Um, but being overly harsh on yourself is not helpful at all. Being
Yeah.
realistic.
What game am I playing and what game do I want to play? So important. And yeah, of course you weren't always like that. That's why it's an important thing. If the lesson after 15 years, or what do you wish you would have known at the beginning? Like now you're
Yeah,
good. Now you're
exactly.
good at not, now you're good at embracing the failure when you were new, you weren't. I think that's a great lesson
Yeah,
for people that are agents out there. I'm going to switch gears a lot right now.
sure.
Like let's talk AI. Like
Okay.
now it's been all the big hot stuff. Everybody is getting into it. That what I've
Hmm.
seen for growth has just been crazy because the AI can like do just there's so many different versions of AI right now. Online, we're seeing these different examples, but you've built a technology, a software, a something. I'm going to have you tell me about it. That I think uses the thought of it. Now, when people say AI, it could mean a lot of different things,
Sure.
but it can just mean like, hey, there are tools out there that can make our lives a lot easier. And you've developed a tool. Tell me about that tool.
Yeah, and you make a great point that AI is used as a blanket statement, and it's such a buzzword now. But most AI, if not harnessed correctly, is trash, right? It's not garbage in, garbage out. Um, but my best friend from high school and I started an idea, and we've launched it, and it's being beta tested and coming out of that now. It's been in use for probably 6 months, but it is a tool that takes basically all of the listing material that an agent would have, all the assets, the picture, the pictures, um, the past listing, any and all information they have about the listing. There's even a questionnaire that can be sent to the seller for them to fill out. And it uses a large language model, AI, that acts as if it were you. and builds out the entire real estate listing, organizes the photos in the correct pattern. It labels all the photos um, with real data. And that's, I guess, the big differentiation between our product and a lot of others is that there's no verbose, flowy language that you often see when you read a description and you're like, oh, this was clearly written by AI. Like, there's no, this isn't conveying any actual information to me. Our company, Propified, does the opposite. And it uses a Chrome extension and it actually fills in the MLS in your web browser while you wait. Takes maybe 30 seconds and creates a listing that is rich, detailed, organized, doesn't miss anything, and saves at this point probably like 60 to 70% of your time.
So the so it helps you with organizing pictures,
hmm
and it helps you with descriptions.
hmm
And that's the I mean, descriptions, I've seen a lot of people using AI to do that.
Sure.
ChatGPT, like, is a really easy one. And I've seen the accuracy be, 70 or 80%, maybe. I mean, sometimes higher. Sometimes it knows more about the house than
Yeah.
I do. Sometimes it doesn't. So I've seen that be pretty successful with things, but I also know that now people kind of say, oh, that's an AI listing description. And
hmm
so that's like one thing that you're doing. Now the photo organization of choosing the best photos, it chooses the best photos so that you can put them in the listing. Do you guys do any enhancements to the photos, anything like that? Or it's just here's your photos
Nope.
you took? Now, how does
Yeah.
that interact with the actual MLS?
Yeah. So the pictures are the driving factor for a lot of the information that the AI is pulling out to build out the listing. So it can tell us types of roof, types of siding, types of windows, all sorts of various things that it can then plug in to the listing. But it actually fills out the features in the drop down menus of the MLS as well. So it fills out whether the house has a pool, whether it's waterfront, whether the backyard is fenced, if it has a garage, if it's a 2-car garage or a 1-car garage. It knows all of that by looking at the pictures the same way you and I would. And that's really the beauty of what AI is good at, is looking at something and coming up with sort of bullet point information about it. And so what we've done is created a way for it to just take a look at all of the photos and say, okay, well, there's no point in us putting this bathroom as the first picture. Let's put the outside picture first. Let's put them in an order that is cohesive as if we were walking through the house. And let's put them in order. Let's label them depending on the information that is seen in the picture. So, age of refrigerator, if there's the refrigerators in the picture, it's going to highlight the age. And then it puts it all in the MLS for you. So there's no copy and pasting. There's no dragging and dropping. It's all just, it runs literally in front of your eyes. And that's been the really cool part, because what we've seen is it's helpful for a lot of people, right? It saves a lot of time, but for a lot of houses, and you've seen them just as much as I have, the listings are terrible. It's bad information. They leave things out. They don't mention key criteria about the house that would be really beneficial for the sellers to have out there so that someone will buy their house. And that is really the meat and potatoes of what we're trying to do, is standardize listing input in a way that maybe someone doesn't sell that many houses a year. Maybe they sell 3, 4 houses a year, or they're, a little bit, yeah, rookie, or the
Yeah.
opposite of a rookie. This takes the load lift off of them and does it correctly so that their listing shows all the right information.
So you're going to get professional pictures taken anyway. So it's like you get those photos, you have that whether you do the description yourself or not, you have it interact. I've definitely seen a big difference between photos that have descriptions on them and photos that don't. It's
Yep.
very, I see people that don't think there's the importance in labeling each photo, and it's tedious and sometimes kind
Super
of
tedious.
annoying. I remember when we first did a bunch of listings, yes, the order we put the pictures in, we would spend so much time on, because yes,
Yeah.
it's like, I want to include all these photos, but like this bathroom is more important than the secondary, because this bathroom looks amazing and it's going to get people to keep going, but they're also going to want to know what their kid's bathroom is going to look like at the end.
Yeah.
And so we need all that info. And then by the time you get to the end, it's like, do I want to label this? Do I not? So
Yeah.
it's like, so one, it helps the proactive agent or the lazy one to label those, because
Yeah.
that is, I think, missed on more than half of the listings that I see manually uploaded, is any sorts of those descriptions. And the descriptions also help when people are searching inside the MLS to go find it. And then I
Yeah.
love the idea that, yes, if I went on ChatGPT right now, I said, hey, I'm listing this house. Can you give me a listing description? It will. And it's going
Sure.
to guess based on like stuff online. It's going to, and the guesses are pretty good. But if you're giving it a bunch of pictures and you say,
Yeah.
hey, I'm listing this house and here's the pictures, it's gonna, in theory, like, no, hey, it's this school district and it's over here, but it's a 3-story and there's this in the kitchen and appliance were recently updated, all that sort
Yeah.
of stuff. And so I think making the listing better and standardized without the effort. There were days when we were flipping like 30 houses a month that on
Oh, wow.
Thursday we'd have to put like 7 new flip listings on the market. And it's so exciting, but also like so annoying and so
It's really
tedious. And
tedious.
so like it's like, as you're putting the stuff in there, and we did tons of shortcuts because of it. We're like, we're
Hmm.
not going to do all those descriptions. We're going to get all these things listed. And then inherently there would be times a month or two later, hey, this one hasn't sold yet. Let's go back and look. And we're like, oh, we can make the listing better. Oh, we can do this.
Yeah.
Oh, we can
Yeah.
make adjustments. And in our new home stuff in Austin, we find that all the time. We're like updating and refreshing it. So again, so like, I know what your tool does, and it does it
Hmm.
to where I guess, so the idea is like inside any MLS, you're like, hey, I'm going to use this tool, and now the listing can be done in 5 minutes. It's standardized and it's better than before. And it doesn't, as long as you got your pictures in there. And then I think you said it uses like an extension that, will it
Yep.
work for any MLS or just yours? Are you rolling out
Yeah.
to other
So right
areas?
now it's only ours, but
And
it
what
can.
MLS is yours?
It
What
is
format?
it Cotality. So Core Logic got bought by Cotality. So
Yeah.
but it's antiquated and bad. I mean, that's the other
Yeah.
part of it, is it's just like there's 2,500 different options to pick when you're putting in the listing, whether it's drop down menus or, check boxes or whatever. And it's just, it's arduous and it's a pain. And with this, it's, you input the photos, you could fill out some boilerplate information that it guides you through, or you could copy and paste it and email it to your client. Your client can fill it out. So if they've got lots of minutia and details about the house, about age of systems, renovations, things they love about the house, perfect. Let them put it in there, and then the Propified will churn all of that into property description, photo descriptions, and the actual style of house, type of siding on the house, roof, number of chimneys, the whole 9 yards.
Anything cool.
Yeah.
How do we get it?
Propified.com, you have to get a login through us, log in and then download the Chrome extension in the Chrome store. And it's a drop down. It leads you right through it, but we've got demo videos for it, everything like that. So it's very, very easy. We're building out phase 2, which is a consumer facing product, that buyers can use, that uses the same information pulled from houses to allow, um, uh, a client or a buyer or anyone looking to search for a house, using any criteria that our AI has pulled from the house. So if you are looking for a 6 burner Viking stove, you can look for a 6 burner Viking stove. It'll show you every house that has one of those. And so you can get very, very granular or very opaque, and you can create, almost mood boards of stylizations of house you like. So it can say, hey, Aaron, you keep liking houses that have, um, you know, walnut lined libraries. This house has a walnut lined library. It's a little bit outside of what you were looking for. But let's look at what you're actually looking for, and not just bedroom count, size, price, etc. Because that's those criteria aren't it, right?
Yeah,
Um,
that's fascinating, man. You know, as consumers, we don't always know why we like something. And one of the promises of AI years ago was it can figure out stuff based on our patterns more than we know. And
mhm.
so on that next level consumer facing product, that sounds really interesting to me because
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
hey, you keep liking this sort of a style or this sort of a thing, and then people don't necessarily know, like, oh, I like this one. I like this one just feels better. And then
Oh,
it
yeah.
can figure that out. That could be a super valuable tool. So it's Propify.com, Propify, right?
IED,
Oh, I am
Propified.
so glad I asked. So
No worries.
Propified. So
Yep. Mhm.
propified.com. They can go get more info. They can look at that. You know, I want to talk more about Propify, but we have been on almost an hour and we're running out of time. This
Oh,
this
yeah, wow,
conversation
look
went
at
went
that.
so much better and so much longer than average because it's been so fun to talk to you.
Well, thanks,
You
man.
know,
Yeah, you too.
if
Nice to
people want
finally
to get
meet
more
you.
info, it is great to finally meet you too. If
Yeah.
people want to get more info, if they want to send you leads out to, they want to send their referrals your way, they want to ask you about Propified on anything else, what's the best way that they can find you?
Um, Probably email. Email, which is Remington at randrichmond.com or Remington at propified.com. Either one works. Both of those websites, Rand Richmond and propified.com, have links where you can contact us, and I'll reach back out to you, or someone on the team will. But obviously, if it's through
Cool.
this, I'll reach back out to them. But happy
Yeah,
to.
you will get some referrals from this for sure. You will get some
Good.
people reaching out to check out your app and what you're doing. Well, this has been a lot of fun. You know,
Yeah, man.
listeners,
Thank you.
I hope you guys reach out to Remington. As always, the best way to reach me is on Instagram. It's just my name, Aaron Amuchastegui, but you won't have to spell my last name. If you just get to Aaron AM, it will find me because the algorithm knows us really well together. So feel free to reach out to Rand. I hope you do, and or me on Instagram if you have conversations and that you want to have. Again, very cool. Go check out propified.com. I want to hear about it too. If you do, then message me on Instagram. Let me know what you thought, so
Yeah.
that me and Remington can chat about it again. Remington, thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Appreciate you.
And Real Estate Rockstars, thanks for listening.